Shalom Aleichem Yisrael El Yehonatan Dai. We with you here on the 5th of February 2023 of the year of their Lord, recording to you from my home studio this afternoon. Now, this topic is Barookah Aatah Part 2. We did Barookah Aatah last week, and we call it the Beatitudes. That's because that's the way our attitudes are to be. But the Hebrew mind at that time when Yahweh was on the Mount of Olives speaking, saying Barookah Aatah, he was saying, congratulations. Congratulations. And that seems very ironic for people who are poor, hungry, destitute, maimed, sick, affirmed, imprisoned, marginalized, disenfranchised, and he's up there on this mountain talking about congratulations. Let's finish this. Now, beginning the reading, we're going to read these, how attitudes ought to be. Now, the thing about these, the reason why I want to spend a second week on this is because this is how we reverse the curse, with how our attitudes are. This sermon is this is like the benchmark at the beginning of Yahweh's second year of his ministry. We're into his second year of ministry. We're in the Aatah series, in his own words. This is what this series is, Yahweh for Christians. And this segment of the Aatah series is Barookah Aatah. Okay? Here we go. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of Hashemayim. Barookah Aatah are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Barookah Aatah are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Barookah Aatah are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will be filled. Barookah Aatah are the merciful, for they will obtain mercy. Barookah Aatah are the pure in their lab, in their heart, for they will see Yahweh. Barookah Aatah are the shalom makers, for they will be called the Beni Elohim, the sons of Elohim. Barookah Aatah are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Barookah Aatah, you, when they will revile you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake, rejoice and be exceedingly glad. Not just regular glad, not just generic glad, not off the rack, anybody's glad, but exceedingly glad. Because for so they persecute the prophets who are before you. Wow. There's a lot right there. This comes from the very mouth of Yahweh himself, who says, congratulations that you are on the back of the bus. Congratulations that you are lightly regarded and disrespected, and your bills going up, everything going up but your salary. You're not respected even in your own household. You're not regarded as who you are. All these things. How many of us can relate to that? I certainly can. I know you can too. Yahweh is saying, congratulations, Barookah Aatah to you. And why? These people at the base of this mountain, this represents the remnant. We're going to talk about that. Last week I gave a whole lot of scriptures about who the remnant are. I'm going to continue with that today because it's very important to be able to identify who Yahweh came for, who these people are that he's preaching to, and that he is saying congratulations to, because now here am I, your reward. This is beautiful. Now, we all know about the curses in Deuteronomy 28, also Leviticus 26. This attitude, this new attitude that Yahweh was teaching us is the means for reversing the curse. Now, first, I'm going to go into my commentary on the New Testament of the Old Testament, reading from page 20 about this, because we got Yahweh on the Mount of Olives giving a new understanding, the refreshed understanding of the commandments. juxtaposed against Moshe from Mount Sinai, who gave us the commandments. This is what I've been saying for years now, but this is backing up with doctors of divinity who backs this up. Okay? You got Moshe, and with Yahushua, you got Moshe 2.0. Moshe did say, another prophet like me will come to you. Here we go. The Sermon on the Mount, in chapters 5 to 7, is the first of the 5 major blocks of sermonic material that distinctly punctuates Matthew's narrative. These discourses have often been likened to the 5 books of the Torah. So these doctors, it's like 20-something doctors who contributed to this book, are saying that Matthew, Lawi, his first 5 major blocks of teachings of his rendering of this Besorah message is akin to the 5 books of Moshe, okay, the Torah. And this is one of them, this block right here, okay? This is, they call it Jesus on the mountain, and this is like Moses on the mountain of the Old Testament, okay? He says, this motive calls to the mind of Moses receiving the law on Mount Sinai. So I just wanted to bring that up to give some weight to the position that I'm proposing here on Yahweh for Christians, is that Yahushua is the Moshe 2.0. Remember, Moshe had his face covered with the veil. When Yahushua said, Zeh Nigmal, it is finished, it is done, the veil was rent. Now we have open access to him. The curse is reversed. We have open access to him at the mercy seat. Yahushua is saying, blessed are you. Barookah Aatah. Congratulations for all these positions you were in. All these horrible situations you were in. So, who are these people? I already read some of these scriptures, and some of them I did not get to last week. So let's identify who these people who are blessed today. Let's begin at Psalm 79:11. And it reads, let the groaning of the prisoner come before you. According to the greatness of your power, preserve those who are appointed to die. The psalmist is talking about Yahweh coming to the aid of the prisoners, coming to the aid of those who are on life support, who are in the corners of the nursing homes or in the emergency room, people who are being kept alive by respirators and ventilators and whatever. Yahweh coming to their aid. They need him. Okay? Let's stick with the psalm. Let's go to Psalm 113:9. And Psalm 113:9 reads, he grants the barren woman a home, like a joyful mother of children. There is no reality more worse for an Hebrew woman to live her entire life barren. That is a curse to them. That says they are no part of the covenant with Yahweh. They are not part of Yahweh's people. They are rejected. This is the heart and mind of the Hebrew woman, is that she has no part in the reconciliation of man to Yahweh because she has not participated in the birthing process of a son or of any child. What Yahweh is saying here is that Yahweh, for those in this, he grants to you a home like a mother of many children. Congratulations. I know you've been done wrong. Probably as a young woman, you was forced to have an abortion or something like that. Who knows? But Yahweh is there for the barren woman. That's what he's saying right here. Let your heart be healed. Let your heart be healed. Let's stick to the psalm. Let's go 146:9. Psalm 146:9. And it reads, Yahweh watches over the strangers. He relieves the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wicked he turns upside down. Once again, we got fatherless, we got widows. One of the things you're going to see that I've been saying last week, the common theme of who these downtrodden people are, They're fatherless. They're widows. Why? The biggest contributor to these kind of peoples is war. Whenever there's a war, you got husbands and fathers being killed, leaving behind widows and orphans. This is why Yahweh's heart is touched by these people, because he knows why they're in that situation. It is not a fault of their own. And right now we are in spiritual warfare. How many of Yahweh's Sadiq, righteous men are being taken out of the homes? How many of us are being done wrong? How many of us are taken out of the structure of stability in the bed of Yah? So Yahweh has a place in his heart, and he is there for such people as this. Again, strangers. How many people are disenfranchised because they are strangers? How many people are hated because they climbed over the wall? Because they claim, we call people who we don't like, we call them strangers. The Samaritans were hated by the Hebrews. We have our brothers today hating Jews, hating the white man. But Yahweh, we see them, we call them culture vultures. And they are. They try to steal your culture. The Samaritans, they say they were Hebrews, but they're not real Hebrews. But Yahweh brings all, this is Moshe 2.0. He's bringing everybody in with a circumcised heart. He is the heart knower. We talked about that from the very beginning of this series. One of the biggest showings of that was when his meeting with Nicodemus. Okay, so we got again and here's what's key in verse 9 about how he turns the way of the wicked upside down. So we know Yahweh Shua is coming. So apparently things are not right. If things are right down here, that he can stay on his throne. He is returning to make things right. What is not right is that we are the tail and not the head. We are supposed to be the head. But because things turn upside down, he's going to fix things and turn things right side up. So that means, Yahweh says, when he returns, will he find any faith on the earth? That's because the wicked will be large and in charge. Not his people. His people are on the back of the bus. This is why, how is it that you're going to believe that when this mark of the beast is revealed, that Yahweh's people are going to be doing well? It is an impossibility. For no, hell is not reigning up in heaven. How can heaven reign here in hell? When the mark of this beast starts, none of Yahweh's people are going to be doing well. They can't. If you're doing well, then what's going to happen when Yahweh Shua comes? He's going to make the first last. So those who are at the base of this mountain, those who are disenfranchised, we are last. He's going to make us first. Congratulations. Let's go to Isaiah 42, 6 and 7. Everybody knows this very well. Isaiah 46, verses 6, 42, verses 6 and 7. I, Yahweh, have called you in righteousness and will hold your hand. I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people, as a light to the Gentiles. He's going to hold our hand and make us a light to the Gentiles. We are his covenant people. To open eyes of the blind, to bring out the prisoners from the prisons, those who sit in darkness from the prison house. Once again, you know what? One of the early ministries I was trying to get into was the prison ministry. There's no way I can do that now because of all the ministries I have going on. But I implore you to pray to Yahweh to see if that will be your light to be in the prison ministry. Yahweh has scores of men and women in the prison houses. And they are waiting, and they are in a dry, thirsty land waiting to hear this message. You see that Yahweh has a heart for the prisoners. Why not us? We should likewise have a heart for the prisoners. We have uncles, fathers, brothers, sisters, nephews in prison. Visit them. Give them things that they need. Prison ministry is important to Yahweh. You see how a common thread, along with the fatherless and the widow, is the prisoner, the strangers. And Yahweh says his covenant people are called to be a light to them. Jeremiah. Now, I read this whole thing last week. I'm going to read it all again. That's how important it is. Jeremiah 7, 1 through 15. And then we're going to read verses 22 through 27. And it reads, the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, stand in the gate of Yahweh's house and proclaim there this word, and say, hear the word of Yahweh, all you of Yehudah, who enter into these gates to worship Yahweh. Yahweh is talking to not just Israel, this is Judah. Yeah, you out there wearing all those Yehudah hats and Yehudah t-shirts. He's talking to the elect of his covenanted peoples on their way to the temple to worship. On their way to the temple to worship. What does he say to them? Thus says Yahweh Sabaoth, the mighty one of Yisrael. I shared this with you before. Whenever Yahweh used Yahweh of hosts, that is saying, this is my house. Everything here is under my authority. Sit down, be still, because I'm about to speak. He's hitting the glass. Ding, 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 ding. This is his authority. He controls everything here. He's about to speak. That's what Yahweh of hosts means. And he is saying, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to live in this place. Remember, he's talking to his covenanted people. Not just his covenanted people, the elect, Judah. Do not trust in these idle saying words, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh. I still have yet to find once in the entire Bible where a phrase is repeated 3 consecutive times like this. Not once. The closest I came to is in Mark, when Yahshua says their worm will not die. He says it 3 times, but there's a narrative between each. But here they are saying, hey, Ka'al Yahweh. Hey, Ka'al Yahweh. Hey, Ka'al Yahweh. They are doing incantations like the heathens do. They're thinking they are right, and they're bobbing their heads and reading this Torah. And they're properly dressed according to the laws of Moshe to the nines, with the beards and the yarmulkes and the tzitzits and everything. And they're repeating this saying over and over again. They're going to try to make Yahweh co-sign on their righteousness. Because it is you who thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if you do not oppress the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, or walk after other mighty ones to your hurt, then I will cause you to live in this place, in the land that I gave your fathers forever and ever. Please read this. Please read behind me. He is saying, while you in there keeping all these commandments, 666 commandments, you are not keeping it from the understanding that it was given. You are not being just to the fatherless, the widow, the strangers. Remember, they walked all past the man who was hurt, and a good Samaritan had to help the man. A Samaritan whom they hated, going past him, the teachers of the law, going to the temple instead of helping the man out who Yahweh said was half dead. This is how you get the promises. This is how the curse is reversed, is by treating the remnant right. These people that I keep bringing up here, this is the remnant. Look, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, burn incense to the Lord? This says Baal. Baal means Lord. Look it up. And walk after one another's mighty ones whom you do not know, gods that we do not know. No one here knew the Lord God, Jehovah Jesus Christ, and now we're worshiping gods we do not, their forefathers didn't know. And then come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name. Y'all saying, you're going to do all this? And then come into my house, which has my name on it, with these false Elohim, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? Our leaders literally believe they are in their own righteousness as they repeat by the temple of Yahweh, by the temple of Yahweh, by the temple of Yahweh. In their own righteousness, yet they are not regarding the weighty matters of the law, of feeding the hungry, of taking care of the mothers. They're not even honoring their own mothers and fathers. They are writing them off with a word. They write their own parents off. Wow. and then come and stay before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations. Has this house, which is called by my name, become a den of thieves in your eyes? Look, even I have seen it, says Yahweh. Did not Yahweh Shua said, not once but twice, you have made my father's house a den of thieves. This is what Jeremiah is saying right here. You making my house a den of thieves by your practices, by your self-righteous practices. But go now to the place which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first. And see what I did to it because of the witness of my people, Israel. Shiloh is the first place that the temple was laid as we got into the Kodesh land. And Yahweh let the Philistines burn it down and take the Ark of the Covenant. They destroyed the temple and took the Ark of the Covenant, which was our heart of how to have access to Yahweh. He allowed them to take it, so then that means that access to Him was taken away. That speaks to us to this very day. Was the temple not destroyed? Did not Yahweh Shua says it was destroyed? It was destroyed 40 years after His ascension. That access was taken away. What He is saying here, there's going to be a new way of access to Him, not by the blood and stone. It's going to be by the flesh and the water. This is here in the so-called Old Testament. Yahweh Shua was preaching in the so-called New Testament from the Mount of Olives. We went from Sinai to olives, from blood and stone to water and flesh. I read on. And now because you have done all these works, says Yahweh, and I spoke to you, rising up early and speaking, but you did not hear. And I called, but you did not answer. Therefore I will do to the house which is called by my name, in which you trust. Remember, Yahweh Shua told the scribes and Pharisees, you search the scriptures, because in them you think you got eternal life. So they're trusting in their ritual sacrifices, their rituals of law keeping for their salvation. And Yahweh is mocking at it. He told Jeremiah, you stand in the doorway and let them know this as they pass you by to worship. They are wasting their time. He says, and I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, the whole posterity of Ephraim. The way He did it in Shiloh, He's casting them out today. And He said the posterity of Ephraim. Ephraim is us scattered to the four corners of the earth based on the curses of Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28. Yehudah was cast to the four corners of so-called Africa. So we got two scatterings, one to the four corners of the earth and one to the four corners of so-called Africa. So you're going to have, that's where the two sticks come from. You got the Yehudah from so-called Africa, and you got us from the four corners of the earth come back together to Zion. So you got Sinai, you got Mount of Olives, you got Zion. So I read on. I want to skip down to 22, all the way down to verse 27. But I do not speak to your fathers or command them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offering sacrifices. Yahweh saying, I never planned or intended to give you all these rules and laws and regulations. I came down to speak to you. You're the ones that didn't want to hear me. You wanted me to speak through Moshe. You're the ones. That's what He is saying right here in verse 22. But this is what I commanded them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your mighty one, and you will be my people, and will walk in the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well with you. See, it was His voice that He went to hear. Not all these commandments to stone you upside your head. Yet they did not obey nor incline their ear, but followed the counsels and the dictates of their own evil hearts, and were backward and not forward. What did the record say? I give you all these laws, line upon line, precept upon precept, line upon line, so you will stumble and fall backward. They were given to us to stumble and fall backwards, because Yahweh discerns the wickedness of Israel's hearts. They were uncircumcised. They just wanted something written down and said, we're going to do all that you say. Before he even said it, we'll just go ahead and do it. And Yahweh read their hearts. And now to this day, in 2023, the year of their Lord, Hebrews are waking up and stumbling right backwards again. Heed the words of his old sages, of his old rabbis, such as myself. Not new into this. There's a new way, a new understanding, a refreshed understanding of having access to Yahweh, and is not through the 666 commandments. Since the day that your fathers came out of the land of Egypt until this day, I have even sent you to all my servants, the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them. Yet they did not obey me or incline their ear, but stiffened their neck. They did worse than their fathers. Therefore you will speak all these words to them, and they will not obey you. And they will also not listen to you, but they will not answer you. Even to this day, I shall have 51 million followers, not 51. They do not want to hear. You just want to have a black and white say, this is what I do, and now let me in the kingdom. But I got something for you. Yahweh sure's got something for you. He's got something for you with that kind of thinking. So we see that we didn't understand it when he let Shiloh go down and the Ark of the Covenant was taken. The access to Yahweh was taken. It's happened again. We do not have a standing temple. We do not have an Ark of the Covenant. It has been taken. So now you tell me what's your access to Yahweh. I've been telling you all along. You tell me what it is. Let's read, let's see what Ezekiel has to say. Ezekiel 22, 6 and 7. Ezekiel 22, 6 and 7. Look, the princes of Israel, each one has used his power to shed blood in you. In you they have made light of father and mother. In your midst they have oppressed the stranger. And you they have mistreated the fatherless and the widow. We know during Yahweh's times they oppressed the stranger. The scribes and Pharisees hated Samaritans. They hated the Romans. They hated anybody that wasn't keeping this Torah as they had prescribed it to be. And they have oppressed and mistreated the whole remnant. Access to Yahweh caused poverty. The land was impoverished through the temple process. But the true way that Yahweh had his laws was there was a jubilee. Every 50 years all debt was forgiven. There was no poor people in the righteous Yisrael. In the righteous Yisrael. Because you had the land of jubilee. You was not going to just generation after generation after generation be in debt and be poor and destitute. Yet here the people were all poor except the leaders of the temple process and access to Yahweh. This is the leaders. And so let's see what Micah 6, 1 through 8. This is Old Testament now. Old Testament. Because even in the so-called Old Testament, those who had a pure heart or a circumcised heart understood what the commandments was pointing to. Micah 6, 1 through 8, arise. Okay, first it says, hear now the word of Yahweh says. Hear his word. This is Yahweh talking. Arise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills hear your voice. Mountains are big governments, hills are small governments. Hear, O you mountains, Yahweh's complaint, and you strong foundations of the earth. Because Yahweh has a complaint against his people, and he will contend with Yisrael. Yahweh is not fussing and complaining against the world. He says his people. Yahweh says, you only have I known of all the families and nations on the earth. He only has a covenant with his people. So he has no complaint with the other people. They're doing what they do. He does not have a covenant with them, so they can't have a covenant to break. He's talking about his own people right here. So don't point to no one else. Look in the mirror on this scripture. Look in the mirror based on this scripture I'm reading right now. Oh, my people. He didn't say Edomites. He didn't say Esau. He said his people. What have I done to you? And how have I wearied you? Testify against me. Y'all say, hey, this is a legal matter. Take me to court. I want this to be legally adjudicated between me and thee. Because I brought you up from the land of Egypt. I brought you out of Mizraim. I redeemed you from the house of bondage. And I set before you Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. Oh, my people. Remember what Balak, king of Moab, counseled, and what Balaam, the son of Beor, answered him. From Acacia Grove to Gilgal, that you may know the righteousness of Yahweh. While we were in the desert of disobedience, we did not even know Hasatan had people out there trying to curse us. All around us, cursing us while we down there crying about water and bread. Yahweh was on the throne protecting us. And that happens even to us today. We're whining and crying about things we want, bigger, better things. Yahweh is always protecting us and keeping us while we don't even know it. His eyes do not get weary. Yahweh is always watching over for us, even during our disobedience. Verse 6. With what will I come before Yahweh and bow myself before the Most High? Will I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will Yahweh be pleased with 10,000s of rams and 10,000 rivers of oil? Will I give my firstborn for my transgressions, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? The prophet is saying, hey, what can we do to please Yahweh? We're in court now. We're in court with him. This is being adjudicated. We got to judge. How can we please you, Yahweh? I'm doing all these sacrifices you told us. I'm keeping the law. Here is the answer. This is not my words. Here is the answer. He has shown you, O man, what is told. And what does Yahweh require of you? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your Elohim. That's what he wants. Not all that, how you eat, how you drink, and all this kind of stuff. Yes, there is a way of walking and talking, but we must do this under the foundation of loving our neighbor as ourselves. The golden rule is not the gold that rules, it's the golden rule. This is Old Testament. That's telling you those commandments is not getting you into the kingdom. It's not doing it. The commandments is not getting you in. It's how you treat your brother and how you relate to the maker of your brother. Maybe you forgot Matthew 25, 31 and 46. In that case, let's go ahead and read it and remind you. This is the Aatah series in the words of Yahweh. Matthew 25, 31, all the way down to the end. Yahweh's own words. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the Kodesh angels with him, he will sit on the throne of his glory, and all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he will set the sheep of his right hand and the goats on the left. So there's only two kinds of people. It's Jacob and it's Esau. That's it. But he only has a covenant with Jacob. Now let's hear what Jacob did. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, come, you blessed of my father, and inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Because I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer and say, Master, when did we see you hungry and thirsty and in all those conditions? He says this. When the king will answer and say, surely I say to you, as much as you have done this to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. That was me who you gave a ride to across town to get to that job interview because I didn't have gas in my car and you took me. That was me you gave $20 to help get some food. That was me you gave clothes to. That was me you visited in prison. That was me. You did it because you knew you just in your heart was to do the right thing to help a brother or a sister or a stranger. that was me did it too. Then he will also say to those on the left hand, this is those who want to be self-righteous. Remember, all those coming to him was coming to receive their reward. They were thinking they were in good stead. But all of them weren't. This is the crowd that was not. He says, depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So they're going to go to the fire that wasn't even made for them. Yahweh had this prepared for the devil and his angels. But these decided to follow after the demonic ways of self-righteousness. Because I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, you did not take me in. I was naked, you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, you did not visit me. And they like, what? Their jaws dropped. What? I ate right. I ate kosher. I'm wearing these CCs. I got this big old beard. I'm wearing my yarmulke. I keep Shabbat. What are you talking about? Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, you uncircumcised heart, and your hard ears to hear that the practice of this law is how you treat your brother, how you treat the stranger, the fatherless, the widow. That is what got you in. And this comes straight from the word of Yahweh Shua. He says, those who did this go into everlasting life, and those who don't go into everlasting damnation. This is straight from his mouth, not Yehonathan Dawid. It is right here. Read it for yourself. That is the ticket that gets you in. But you're going to keep those 666 laws no matter what the Torah says. We know that in Matthew 7 and 12 tells us what the golden rule is. Do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself. The way you want to be treated is how you need to be treating others. And you do that because you love Yahweh with all your heart, might, and soul. That's why you treat others right, because you love Yahweh. And we are made after his image. So why would you say you love Yahweh but you treat his image wrong? Your image right here, you can see and touch and talk to. You can't see, touch, and talk to you. You can't see and touch Yahweh. But you can through our fellow man on this earth. That is the litmus test between who goes to the right and who goes to the left. No other way. It is narrow. It is right. It is narrow. It is tight. But it's right. That's not my words. Now, about this remnant. Now, this remnant, if you go to Exodus 30, I'm not even going to read it, but I read it earlier on the radio. Exodus 30, 12 through 15, and Numbers chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. In those two examples, there are others where Moshe and the leaders did a census on Israel. In the census, they don't do like your governments here do. They count everything on top side of the dirt. Every man, woman, child gets counted in the census that our governments use. I haven't participated in the census in over 30 years. I don't do it. They knock on my door, they call, they text message, whatever. I refuse. I tell them, leave me alone. I ain't telling you nothing. You already know everything. I don't participate in the census. But the way Yahweh does the census is he only counts the men 20 to 50. That's the men of age for war. Yahweh does not count women and children and old men. He does not count the priests. The priests aren't going out to fight. Now the priests retire at the age of 50. And there is another special census where the priests are counted. But when Yahweh does a census, he only counts the men of war. That means the other people is what's left. Remnant. If I had 100 apples and I say take out all the good ones and leave those as overripe, underripe, bruised, leave them, take the ones that are good, put them in the basket on the right. That means, and you give me 67 apples, I'm going to know there must be 33 of them, remnant, that are bruised, overripe, underripe, too small, something's wrong with them, they didn't make it, they are a remnant. And that is who Yahweh Shua said congratulations to. I come for you. Everybody wants the celebrity, everybody wants the glam and the glitz. Yahweh Shua says congratulations to those left on the left side of the basket because I'm coming for you. That's what it's coming for. It's the sick who needs a physician. I'm coming to heal you. Congratulations. Barookah Aatah to you. That's what I'm coming for. The 144,000 are numbered. You can count it. 144,000. That's Judah. But the remnant spread throughout the world is uncountable. You cannot count them. The word for remnant is she-horror. She-horror. And it means residue. You remember you read in Daniel 7:7, the Hasatan the beast stomps Yahweh's people to a residue, to dust. And that sounds awful and harsh, but no. Congratulations, Barookah Aatah. Because the record tells us in Genesis 1 that Yahweh created man from dust. So yes, let the beast stomp us to the dust. Yahweh recreates us from the dust. The remnant. He creates us from tohu wa bohu, complete and utter destruction. He recreates us. He remakes us. He puts us on the wheel. He is the potter. He molds us and makes us after his will, not our own self-righteousness. Not like the goats on the left. So let him stomp us to dust. Yahweh says he's come to make the last first. They hate you, but they hated him first, he says. Congratulations. The remnant that represents Mother Hawa, who was deceived. That's who we are now here to learn the word of Yahweh per his view, by his words, which I am now instructing here. Yahweh, please remove the scales, the clay pot from their ears so they may shema. Shema, the correct understanding of the commandments. Remember, now I'm not going to go there, but I want you to read Matthew 14 and 20, then Matthew 15 and 37. In those two narratives, Yahweh was preaching once again to the remnant. They are hungry. They didn't have food to bring with them. And he feeds them. And he tells his disciples to gather up the crumbs and the fish bones. And they did so. 12 baskets. And you have to think, why do you have to gather up crumbs and fish bones? Let the ants eat. They were not in a building. They were not in a place where you need to clean up the kitchen, wash the dishes, sweep up the floor. They were in the wilderness, in the dirt, in the grass. Why are you getting up crumbs and fish bones? This is the reason. That is the remnant. He says that nothing be left. Now, and there's a message in there. There's a message in there that there were 12 baskets. 12. One for each tribe. The second time, you had 7 baskets. There's a message in there for the number 7. Complete. Yahweh is saving all of the house of Israel completely. He's not leaving anything. Actually, when you read that, I know you never thought about that. Why are they collecting crumbs and fish bones in the wilderness? That should make you cry now that you know. It's because Yahweh loves you. He loves the fatherless, the widow, the barren, those in prison, the hungry, the elderly, the old, the infirm, those who can't even keep their own selves alive, those who are on hospice, those who cannot keep themselves alive on palliative care. Yahweh says, those are the crumbs, those are the bones. Remember Ezekiel, where Ezekiel 37, the bones, he brought them to life. Those are the bones, those are the crumbs that the beast stomps to dust. Yahweh says, Barookah Aatah, congratulations, I bring you to life. I've come to infuse life into you. Hear me, here am I. It is done. Zay Nigmal, it is finished. Receive me. The veil is rent. Receive me. I'm sitting on the mercy throne. Hallelujah. Oh Yahweh, please may they get this word. May they understand that yes, we have needs. We're under these terrible, dire conditions. Bills are going up. The salaries are going down. We're unemployed, underemployed, misemployed. We've been done wrong in the court system. It doesn't matter how many cameras the police officers have on us. We're still being beat up, shot, killed, and in prison. Yahweh, may we hear. May we just accept our part in this curse. May we receive the answer you gave us to reverse the curse. To love you with all our heart, mind, and soul. To love our neighbor as ourselves. To reach out to the stranger, the homeless, those in prison. May we feed, help, clothe, cover, protect. May we do these things because we love you and this is the image of you. That is it. Not wake up and try to dig up Moshe. With an axe and shovel trying to dig up something that you buried. Oh Yahweh. Oh Yahweh. Oh Yahweh. I pray for Yahweh for Christian that your anointing just drench me. Drench us. Drench this word, dear Yahweh. Let it flourish. Let it grow. Let it prosper, oh Yahweh, as you do. Let it overflow my cup. I pray in the name of your Son. And this is what it's all about. It's only about your Son who came for those who are suppressed and depressed, oh Yah. So next week we're going to go to Luke 6, 24 to 26. And these are those who Yahweh sure pronounces the woes to. So we saw who Yahweh says congratulations to. Now we're going to see who he pronounces the woes to. Please like and share on this ministry. Listen, you can give money, whatever, but what I want is the ministry to grow. 50 something, let's make it 50,000, 50 million. Please join, like, and share this ministry. I praise Yahweh. I praise you for the answer to this prayer. I bless your name, O Yahweh. Bless those who hear this word. I pray. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be on you. Yahweh for Yahweh for Christians. Ani Ohabotak. I love you, O Yah. Toda Yah.